Chad Walter.
First question, what bike are you currently riding?
I'm currently riding a Lambretta Silver Special 1965.
Okay, cool. And
it's
then,
a scooter, technically.
Right.
Yeah.
And is that the type?
That's the one that I was riding when I wrecked.
So you're still riding the same?
I am as of a week ago. I got it back a week ago.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And
it looks like shit, but
you're still riding it.
Yeah, it runs. Yeah. Hopefully, after everything's all said and done, I'll be able to put more work into it.
Awesome. Okay, so the second thing, what was the hardest part about your recovery?
I think the amount of time it's taken, because it's still, I mean, I don't think my knee and my shoulder are ever going to be the same again.
Right.
So just the mental aspect of it, how long it's taken and how much patience I have to have with myself. And at first, like when I was in the hospital and getting out of the hospital, the dependence I had on like my girlfriend, you know, because I've never been, I'm a combat vet, I've been in Iraq and stuff like that. So I've been injured, you know, but not to this extent. And seeing myself and realizing how fucked up I really was was really bad. But honestly, the worst part was kicking Vicodin. Kicking the painkillers. That was, yeah, because all the care I got was through the VA.
Okay.
And so their solution is painkillers.
Okay. And would you be okay telling me a little bit more about, you were mentioning that you were relapsing as far as the PTSD from the actual accident, which I think is really interesting. Yeah, some of the symptomology I had when I first got back from Iraq in 2005 came back, like my fear driving, first of all, like that was a big deal because the majority of my tour in Iraq was in Baghdad, so I was driving a lot, and a lot of the bullshit that happened was associated with driving and being in traffic and shit like that. So that part of it, the hypervigilance came back really bad, more so than it has been in a few years. And then my startle response just being more jumpy. Okay. And I DJ twice a month, and I couldn't go back and do that the first time I went back and actually full on did it was in October, the end of October. So it took me over 2 months to be able to get behind the decks and do that because the people, just being around the crowd and the noise? Or? Yeah, just the people in general. Large groups of people have never been my favorite thing, but I've always been able to kind of get through it. But recently, since then, it's been harder and harder. Okay. Yeah. All right. Third, what was the hardest part about getting back on the bike? I didn't have one to ride for a while. My buddy, I borrowed my buddy's bike for my first ride, and it was about 6 weeks after the actual wreck. I was done with my cane and most of my physical therapy at that point, so I was kind of slowly wanting to ease into it. So I borrowed my buddy's P200, a scooter, and I didn't have any gear. My gloves, my helmet, everything were just fucking ruined and or melted. And so just not having gear, not really knowing if I wanted to ride again, because my first, like within a few days after the wreck, my first wreck, a couple years ago, I knew if I didn't get back on a bike within like a week, I would never ride again. So I forced myself to get on a bike and ride. This time, I was done. Like I decided the night I was in the hospital that I was done riding. I was like, that's it. I'm not going to be able to do this again. But my buddy Patrick, who owns P-Town, he was like, you should maybe, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I would encourage you to try it to make sure you know for sure. Right. And so I went back and forth for a couple weeks in my mind, and I don't know, but the hardest part... So Patrick being the voice of reason. Yeah, that's hilarious. That's kind of a... Don't quit the scooters. Right, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So next question. Were you scared to get back on the scooter? Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I was fucking scared shitless. Yeah. Okay. I had nightmares about that shit for weeks. It took me 4 years. Yeah. That's crazy, man. What gives you the strength to keep riding? my buddy Ming and I were talking, and he said that statistically, now that I've gone down twice in the 3 years that I've been writing, he's like, now that you've gone down twice, statistically, you're never going to go down again. So, I mean,
so you're in the clear. Nice.
No. I've changed the way I've ridden, or the way I ride. I ride a lot more cautiously now. I don't have anything to prove.
Right.
You know, I don't need my kid to be scared that I'm not going to come home when I ride, my girlfriend and shit like that, you know. So, I know that I'm more in control of my riding, and I've taken more ownership on the way I ride versus the way that people ride around me. I just kind of have to pretend that everybody's trying to kill me, because most fucking people in this town are.
Yeah. And preoccupied multitasking in their four-wheeled vehicles.
Right.
Yeah. How long were you away from riding? You might have already answered that, but
let me think. I went down August 20th, and then I didn't get back on until the end of September, so it was over a month. Yeah.
So that's
my birthday's
fairly good.
October, so it was a good 6 weeks.
Okay.
It was a solid 6 weeks. Yeah.
Just to restate, what bike did you have the accident on?
1965 Lambretta Silver Special.
Okay. I think this is a big one. Do your friends and family support you continuing to ride?
My girlfriend's really into motorcycles, so she does. Cool. But she also supported me not riding if I chose not to do that.
Okay. That's interesting.
You know, so she's just supported me in general. My mom's not around. My dad, I didn't tell my dad up until about a month ago, because I had to go back. He lives in Missouri. I had to go back for a wedding, and it just came up, and he was kind of pissed that I didn't tell him, because he's not into motorcycles. You know, he's always worked in the ER as a trauma nurse and stuff, and so he's totally against anything other than trucks and shit like that. Okay. So he was mad, but you know, he supports my decisions, and he knows that I'm not going to get myself into something that I can't necessarily get out of.
Right.
And my stepmom grew up riding Harleys in the 70s.
Cool.
And shit like that.
So you have a family of motorcycle enthusiasts.
I mean, he had a Norton in the 70s growing up, so I mean, he knows what's up.
Yeah. Awesome. What gear did you wear before the accident? Or at the time of the accident, I guess I should say.
The first time I went down, I was wearing a red bubble helmet that I'd borrowed, because I'd only been riding a few months, and I was at a rally outside Vancouver, and I was wearing this coat, pants similar to this, and the bubble open face helmet.
So pretty much just
and gloves,
civilian clothes.
Yeah,
with,
totally.
with the bubble helmet.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
So since the accident, what kind of gear?
Well, let me restate that. The most recent wreck, the one that we're mostly talking about, I was wearing these pants, these shoes, and a t-shirt.
Okay, so no gear basically.
Full face and gloves.
Right,
but
the bare minimum.
Right.
Yeah.
I hadn't ridden in like 4 months at that point. And I was so excited to. I didn't give a shit.
Yeah, it happens.
But now I have full face. I've got Cordura waterproof armor, elbows, shoulders, chest, back. Awesome gloves, really, really fucking awesome helmet. I mean, I had all this time off to kind of like choose what I wanted to get, and I knew if I decided to ride, I was going to wear armor, and I wasn't going to make any exceptions to it. And because if I'd been wearing armor, I would be almost completely fine.
Right.
I mean, the road rash I have wouldn't be there.
Okay.
My knee may have still been fucked up, but
as far as the surface,
yeah, the burns and the skin removal and that kind of shit probably wouldn't have happened.
Okay. So how many serious accidents have you been in, and what do you consider a serious accident?
Well, I think I don't know. It's different for everybody, but I think anything that... Oh, man, that's hard to answer. I've only gone down twice total. The first time it wasn't that bad. It didn't involve anybody else.
Right.
It was just me being a dipshit. A new writer. This time was absolutely not even my fault. There was fuck all I could do about it. And the fact that I was knocked out, I mean,
Yeah,
That was definitely
that's pretty serious.
That was definitely the worst. Yeah. Accident. I don't know. I think anything that helps you, that leads you to reevaluate what's important in your life.
Right. Which I think that did, obviously, because
Yeah.
you said you changed your entire setup of
Yeah.
gear, right?
Yeah.
So that's
and the way I ride.
that's a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was it? Let's see. Do you feel like you have become a stronger rider and person after your accident?
Yeah, I have more confidence in myself. I know the absolute limitations of my bike now. I may not ride as hard as I did before, but I still have some aggression in my riding, but not to the extent where I was at before.
Right.
And I think that because I don't feel like I need to do that anymore, I've grown. So yes,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm stronger.
And you
in
still
general.
find joy in
Oh yeah,
riding.
I still get the rush.
That's
yeah.
the reason you're still doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
As we all do.
Yeah, totally.
I guess you probably just answered that. The last question was what has changed about your riding,
Just safer in
but
general.
just riding safer.
Yeah.
Okay, and I guess I skipped them. I think this question is fairly vague, but why do you ride in general? That would be the last question.
There's a sense of freedom, you know, kind of a sense of autonomy, and there's something to be said about going 70 miles an hour on 10-inch tires. I kind of came in from the mod culture and that side of it, and since that's not as important to me as riding is. But it's replaced a lot of the chasing that I used to do for adrenaline and shit like that, to replace the stuff I did in Iraq in the Army. And it's genuinely and honestly the safest way I've found to chase the adrenaline.
Yeah.
And I don't even feel like I need to do it to that extent anymore. So, yeah, like I said, it started off one way, but now it's just kind of, I've earned it at this point. I've been doing it for a few years.
Cool.
Not as long as a lot, but...
I guess I should also ask, how long have you been riding?
Well, I got my bike in August 2011. So I've had the bike over 2 years, but I started riding in June of that year. So
Okay.
2.5 years,
Okay.
almost 3 years total.
Cool.
Not too long, but long enough to fuck myself up.
Yeah. So it's the best drug on two wheels.